Two quick things before we get started. Number one, I'm ill, so if I sound different or if there's lots of pausing so I can go hack up a lung, that's what's up. And two, this is not the same day as the last time I filmed a video. I am wearing the same shirt, but I'm doing that because it's dirty and I want to show you the new stuff I bought. Hello and welcome back. If you're new around here, I make videos about minimalism, living with a 20 to 30-ish item wardrobe, and occasionally a little bit of personal finance. Now, if you saw my last video, I had some items of clothing that were really feeling too worn for me to feel comfortable in anymore. So I got rid of 6 of those items and 4 went to trial separation, which left me with a total of 20 items. Not ideal, at least not ideal for my lifestyle. So I was struggling at the time to find replacements, and now I have some new things to show you. I know it's only been a week since I posted my last video, but in reality I was searching for replacements for a long time before then, and now I finally have some new pieces. So today I want to share those with you and also talk about my thought process and how I wound up with these pieces. Before I share my new items, a little bit of story time. Now I will pop a timestamp somewhere around here if you want to skip ahead to the new items, but for the rest of you, a little bit of story time. So if you followed my channel for really any length of time, you'll probably know that I gravitate towards basic pieces with sleek fabrics, clean lines, and a high level of finish, which is what I define as cool. Now I've made a video in the past where I talk about this cool to warm spectrum, but in a nutshell, I found it to be really useful to pick a side of the spectrum that you identify with and really build your wardrobe around that. And I think that helps me at least to create a very cohesive wardrobe. So also to summarize, on the cool end of the spectrum, you have very sleek and smooth fabrics, clean lines, and a high level of finish, either in a garment or in accessories like shoes or handbags. And on the warm end of the spectrum, you have fabrics with a little bit more texture, like chunky knits, maybe a little bit more volume and variation with silhouette, and a more organic level of finish. Now, if you want to check out that video, I will link it in the description down below. Feel free to check it out. But I have historically found that I gravitate towards basic pieces with clean lines on the cool end of the spectrum. At least historically, that is what I have gravitated to. Now, I feel like every fall or winter, I kind of want to warm things up a little bit. Things start to become cool, chunky knits start calling out to me, so that makes some sense. And I've been feeling that hankering again, and so I made some mood boards. I shared some of them with you in my last video, but in particular, what I wanted to add to my wardrobe were really 2 items. I wanted a cream color fisherman sweater, nice cable knits, very chunky, and I also wanted a cable knit navy sweater. Now, for the most part, those 2 items would work with quite a few other pieces that I have with my wardrobe. I like to layer in the winter, so I could pop on a white shirt underneath either of those sweaters. Jeans go with just about anything, depending on the finish of jeans, so that would work. But in order to make those 2 textures work really well with my wardrobe, I would also need perhaps some different outerwear to accommodate them, and definitely a pair of warmer shoes. Now, we're kind of in that area between fall and winter where some days I could probably get away with a flat shoe like a loafer that has a little bit more exposure, but it's also starting to get colder, so a boot might make more sense moving into the colder months. And I've been struggling to find a shoe, or struggling to accept 2 new warm shoes into my wardrobe just to accommodate 2 sweaters that I kind of want and don't necessarily need. So because of that, I haven't found the perfect shoe that could kind of make those sweaters work going into the winter months, and I've been putting those 2 purchases on pause until I can find those shoes, because really if I bought those sweaters, I wouldn't feel comfortable wearing them with the cooler shoes that I have right now. I don't think it would really work. Now, if you're one of those people out there, if you watch the video and you're like, I mix cool and warm things together, kudos to you, but my OCD and just how I work doesn't really want to do that. So I've put those 2 items on hold until I can find the perfect shoe. I'm still on the hunt for them, but in the meantime, I have found a good lot of new items, or at least a lot relatively for me, to support me through the winter months. All right, on to the new additions to my wardrobe. When I made my last video, I wound up with 20 items, including only 1 sweater at the end of last winter, all of my sweaters that were wool or cashmere blends decided to bite the dust. Thank you so much to all of you who left comments about proper wool care. And yes, I have used, or I've always used, the Laundress wool and cashmere shampoo on my sweaters. I wash them on the wool and hand wash setting of my washer. I stretch them out and I lay them flat to dry, and that worked for 2 years until all of a sudden at the end of last winter, all of them except for this one decided to die in unison. So I was left with this one white sweater, which only didn't shrink because it's kind of a crappy synthetic fabric, but it is a V-neck white sweater and otherwise it's held up kind of well. I would love to replace this with a better fabric in the future, but this was my one sweater at the end of my last purge, and I will insert a video or image somewhere here of exactly what I was working with at the end of my last video. It was not much, and I only had one sweater, which is kind of ridiculous because it's November. So I needed sweaters badly, and so I ended up buying 4 new sweaters, or technically 2 of them are new from a store and 2 of them were thrifted. And actually this red sweater, this green sweater, and this navy sweater are all the exact same sweater in different colors, which I'm kind of thrilled about. The part of me that really wants my wardrobe to be super uniform is very pleased to have 3 of the exact same sweater. So first of all, I'll start with the sweaters that I bought secondhand. Huge shout out to Shakabra. We're gonna go with Shakabra, a subscriber who recommended that I check out ThredUp. Now, I've actually spoken about ThredUp before on this channel. ThredUp is an online secondhand store where you can send them your gently used items and then they will make them available online for you and me and the rest of the internet to buy. It's kind of like eBay, except you don't have to take any images or post things yourself. It's a consignment shop in that way. Anyway, I decided to check out ThredUp based on the recommendation I received from that subscriber, and I am thrilled to have found these 2 sweaters. One of them, in my last video, I was lamenting the loss of my favorite green sweater from Banana Republic. I bought it 2 years ago, and usually they stock basically the exact same sweater, same color, same material, but this year, instead of a classic sleeve, they decided to do a raglan sleeve, which I wasn't happy about, but on I think her recommendation, I looked up ThredUp and was able to find the exact same sweater from 2 years ago that I loved and wore into the ground. I ended up buying it in a small instead of an extra small. I typically wear an extra small, but because I recently experienced so much shrinkage with my sweaters, I wanted to play it a little safe, so I went with a small, and it is a little bit big, but kind of in an okay, cozy, it's just a little bit oversized way, and I'm sure it will shrink up a little bit in the wash, but I'm super happy to have found this sweater. It's a really rich sort of foresty green color, and I am that crazy person who is thrilled to have the exact same item back in my wardrobe. And the other sweater that I bought from ThredUp, and also what the other 2 sweaters that I bought new are, is this crew neck sweater from J. Crew Factory. I did look at J. Crew Factory. I bought 2 sweaters from J. Crew Factory that you'll see in just a second, but this year, at least right now, they do not have a navy version, so I was very happy to find a navy version on ThredUp. This is also a small, as are the other 2 sweaters that I got from J. Crew Factory. Again, just sort of guarding against shrinkage. I'm really pleased that unlike the Everlane sweater that I recently got rid of in my last video, this is really a true navy. The Everlane sweater was super dark, and so if I was wearing it with black pants, that sweater looked darker than my pants, which I was not pleased with, but this is really a true navy, and so I do not anticipate having that issue. And then the other 2 sweaters I got, I guess we'll start with this one that I've worn. This one technically I need to wash, but I'll do laundry right after this video. So this is from J. Crew Factory. This is the Teddy sweater. I did look at J. Crew as well, but their sweaters they only have, what is it called? It's not the Teddy, I can't remember what it's called, but they have another sweater that has a little bit of more like a jewel neckline than a crew neckline, and their crew neck cashmere sweaters do come in a huge variety of colors, but I don't really want to be wearing cashmere all the time. I think it can get too warm, especially if I layer in the winter. I would just be sitting in the office, sweating all the time, and so I'm glad that these are blends. Anyway, I got this green sweater as well, and I didn't intend to end up with 2 green sweaters. I purchased this one right before I found the other one on ThredUp, and if I perhaps planned this out a little bit better, again, I did not intend to have 2 green sweaters, but I do get tons of use out of green sweaters. This has been historically my favorite sweater for a reason. Green contrasts really well with the rest of my winter accessories, so I expect to get a ton of use out of both of these. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I consider them to be very different greens. This is kind of a rich foresty green, and this is more of a kind of khaki green, army green. It has a little bit of yellow yarn throughout, but I've already started wearing this one this season, and I've gotten a ton of use out of it. And then finally, again, same exact sweater. I haven't worn it yet, so it still has the tags on it. But I also bought that sweater in a burgundy version. All of these colors are very much in line with my color palette, so I'm sticking to my guns there, and I am excited to wear these. Before I move on, just a few more thoughts about ThredUp in case you have never tried them yourself and you're on the line if you're thinking about giving them a try. I have really enjoyed my experience with ThredUp so far. On the plus side, their filtering is really nice. You can filter by brand, material, of course your size. You can also set your sizes such that every time you look at any category of clothing, it filters down to your size automatically, which I think is really great. You can filter by solids and patterns and different types of patterns or different styles of embellishment. I wish you could say I want something that has no embellishment, but of course you can't do that. And their prices are great. Compared to traditional retail, I think I paid $9.99 for one sweater and $11.99 for the other, so both of them were a steal. And of course, it's a secondhand shop, and so it's thrifting online with a bit more filtering. Of course, there is shipping involved, but compared to buying from traditional retail, buying new clothing, I think it does help to offset some of the negative environmental impact that can have. On the negative side, their filtering is great, but their search is not great. For example, I searched for cable knit, and all of the results that I got back were from a brand called Cable Engage, which is not what I was looking for, and most of those sweaters were not even cable knits. Another negative is that they do accept returns, but if you need to return an item, there is a $1.99 restocking fee, and I think the cost to ship it back is something like $7. You can return it in the same packaging that you received it in. There are bags that have another strip that you can tear off and seal. So it is good that you can at least reuse them. Downside, they are plastic bags, but at least they're reusable. But given the amount of money it would take to return items, it's not really, I think, offset by the price. You're paying a really low price, but then you have to pay something significantly comparable if you want to return it. So in the future, I do plan on continuing to use ThredUp, but I think I'm more likely to use ThredUp for items where I'm already confident about the size, so I don't have to worry about returns. So things like sweaters and tops. I don't think I'm going to use ThredUp for items like jeans or pants, or if I wore them, dresses, because those items can just be a little bit more finicky to get the fit right, and the cost of returning it might be outweighed by the low cost that you paid in the first place. Okay, that sweater's done. I only have 2 more quick purchases to share with you. One, and it may be jumping out if you're used to seeing this image of my closet over and over again, but I bought this blue Oxford shirt from J. Crew Mercantile, which is actually the same exact thing as J. Crew Factory, except I suppose they wanted to extend their market reach to people who aren't traditionally shopping in an outlet mall, so they called it J. Crew Mercantile and put it elsewhere. Anyway, I've been having tons of luck with this brand, obviously, this season. And this, again, is a blue Oxford shirt. I love that because it's blue instead of like a white, you can actually see the Oxford weave. I'm sure you can't see the Oxford weave there, but in person you can. And originally, whenever I first saw this shirt in a store, I tried it on and I decided this is more of a sort of a classic boy fit than a fitted shirt. It's not fitted at all. So the first time I tried it on, I thought, no, I would pass on it, and I kept thinking about it, so I went back and bought it, and originally my intent was to have the back tailored a little bit. The shirt tail in the back what I thought, a hair too long for my liking. It's a little bit longer in the back than in the front. So originally I thought I would get this tailored, but I've been wearing this non-stop this last week. Actually, it is another thing that needs to be laundered right after I make this video, but it smells great. It smells like I recently got a refill of, what is my favorite perfume called? Eau de Sens by Diptyque, so it smells like that. It smells great, but it still needs to be washed. But I love wearing this, particularly with my gray marled blazer from Ann Taylor a couple of years back. I think that's a really smart look for work, but I wore it to the movies yesterday, so I just feel really good in this shirt. And you can also dress it down, roll up the sleeves. I hope I can wear it in the summer. It's 100% cotton, so I have high hopes. And I love this shirt so much, I'm thinking about buying it in white as well, which might be a little ridiculous given that I already have 3 white shirts, 2 fitted white shirts, and 1 linen white shirt, but I love it so much. We'll see how that goes. I'm happy to have a button down in a color in my wardrobe. And then finally, I bought this pair of black jeans, wish me luck, also from J. Crew Mercantile. These jeans, I haven't worn them yet outside of the fitting room because I need to get them tailored. They are a hair longer than my other jeans. I'm 5'1", so I knew trying these on in the fitting room that I was going to need to get them tailored. They're also a high-rise jean, and I don't actually have any high-rise jeans in my wardrobe right now, partially because Paige, my favorite brand for jeans, doesn't really make a high-rise in their styles of jeans that fit me everywhere else. But I'm excited to try a high-rise pair of jeans. I actually think they're super comfortable. My husband, when he first saw me try them on, made fun of me and said it looked like a mom jean, but most of the time you can't see how high they are if you have a top going over them. So I'm excited about adding these to my wardrobe, and I did check before this video, but of course now I've forgotten what they are composed of. I think it's mostly cotton, but there is a little bit of synthetic fabric in here. I'm not a huge fan of synthetics, but synthetics do hold dyes better than traditional cotton, so I am hopeful that these will stand up to the test of time, and I am really excited to wear them once I get them tailored this coming week. All right, those are all of the new additions to my wardrobe. I bought 6 pieces, which brought me up from 20 to 26 items for the entire year, and I'll insert kind of a before and after of what I started with and what I have now in case you want to see where those new items sort of fit into my different categories and the distribution of the items in my wardrobe now. If you are around for story time, I should say that as much as lately or every fall and winter, I kind of get a little bit of a hankering to warm up my wardrobe. I think a lot of that feeling has dissipated now that I have more than one sweater. Now that I have enough clothing to sustain me through the winter, that feeling has really started to go away. I do think that if I found the right pair of shoes, that would afford me some different looks, some different ways of styling the pieces that I already have, but I don't feel that kind of desperate need to change things up. And really, since acquiring these new pieces, it's kind of helped me to reappreciate why I have an affinity towards the style of dressing that I do. If you wear warm pieces, that's totally cool. I just think it's helped to remind me of the value of sort of sticking to one or the other end of the spectrum, because that can really help to keep your wardrobe cohesive, from outerwear to traditional daywear to shoes and accessories. It really helps to keep everything cohesive and consistent, and I think the shopping excursion has helped to remind me of that. I don't want to say it feels good to have new pieces per se, but it feels really good now to have items in my wardrobe, replacement items in my wardrobe, that don't feel like they're falling apart. So I can walk out of my house feeling confident and knowing that I'm looking my best instead of feeling kind of tatty around the edges, which is how I felt before. So this has been well worth it. I think that's going to be it for me today. If you have any ideas that you'd like to see me cover in future videos, please leave those thoughts in the comments down below. I think because I'm so excited about my new additions, I might do a sort of what I wore this week video coming up next. And I've also noticed a few items around my house that are ripe for decluttering. I thought about saving them for kind of a spring decluttering video, but now that I've seen them, I can't unsee them. So I think that'll be coming down the pipeline as well. But if there are other topics that you want to see me cover, let me know about those in the comments down below. All right, that's gonna be it for me today. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.